speakers for today, Professor Muhammad Fadhil Muhammad, University Teknologi Mara Malaysia, and our moderator, Ms. Darini Yusrina from Architecture Programs. And to all our participants, welcome to the event visiting professor. I'm Siti Aisyah Akila, and I'm honored to be your host for this remarkable event. I'm secretly thank each of you for taking the time to join us for today. Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin, allow me to give you a brief overview of today's agenda. We will start with a prayer, followed by singing the national anthem, Indonesia Raya, along with Mars Bela Negara. After that, we will hear the welcoming speech from our Vice Dean. Then we will have our main agenda, which is keynote speech and presentation by our invite speakers. At the end, we will also sign implementation agreement, follow presenting certification and photo session with Prof. Muhammad Fadil Muhammad. Now let's start our program with pray with each other belief. Pray, start. Finish. Ladies and gentlemen, let's honor our country by singing the national anthem, Indonesia Raya, followed by Mars Bela Negara. We kindly ask you participation to stand.
Seluruh bangsa Indonesia menghadapi tantangan dan cobaan. Raihlah cita-cita yang mulia, Indonesia makmur dan sentosa. Walau berbagai suku dan agama, ragam budaya serta golongan, satu untuk semua, semua untuk satu. Jayalah Indonesia ku tercinta, persatuan dan kesatuan negara Republik Indonesia. Undang-Undang Dasar 45, Pancasila dasar negara. Seluruh rakyat wajib bela negara, song-song raih dan song bersentosa. Seluruh rakyat wajib bernegara, sampai esok waktu sejahtera.
Thank you. Please be seated. Next, we invite the Vice Dean of Faculty Architecture and Designs, Ms. Mahima Ramadana, to deliver the welcoming speech. Let's welcome Ms. Mahima Ramadana with a round of applause.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan. The Honorable Profesor Dr. Muhammad Fadhil Muhammad from University Teknologi Malaysia, Vice Dean of Academic, Insinyur Eva Elviana ME, all of study program coordinators, lecturers, students, and all attendees. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Thank God for the presence of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala who has given us His gift to so that we can gather at the visiting professor lecture, even organized by architecture study program. In facing the challenges of globalization and rapid technological advances, the world of higher education is required to continue to innovate in creating an academic environment that's responsive to changing times. The architecture study program is committed to presenting various scientific forums that can enrich the insights of students and lecturers, one of which is through the visiting professor lecture event. This activity was held to provide a deeper understanding of the latest developments in the world of architecture, business, technology, and also management. The theme in this guest lecture is Future Potential Quantity Surveying Careers, Emerging Trends and Business Technology and Management. Aims to introduce future careers trends in the field of quantity surveying to students and also lecturers. Quantity surveying is a very relevant field in the world of architecture and construction, especially in cost management and project efficiency. With a good understanding of the latest business and technology trends, students are expected to be able to prepare themselves to face challenges in an increasingly competitive world of work. This event is also expected to strengthen the international cooperative relations that have existed between UPN Veteran Jawa Timur and University Teknologi Mara, Malaysia. This collaboration not only has an impact on the institution, but also provides direct benefits for students and lecturers in expanding their professional networks. On the other hand, it's hoped that this event will be able to create a more lively academic atmosphere in the UPN Veteran Jawa Timur. Scientific forums like this provide opportunities for lecturers and students to discuss directly with experts in the field of quantity surveying, so we can explore knowledge and hone critical thinking skills. We hope that lecturers and students can take advantages of this opportunity to expand their knowledge, build international networks, and inspire themselves to continue to develop amidst the ever-growing scientific dynamics. This event is clear evidence of UPN Veteran Jawa Timur commit to creating a superior and high competitive academic environment of national and international levels. We are proud and love. Thank you so much, Prof. Muhammad Fadhil from UITM, who has shared knowledge and inspired us all. Hopefully, this fruitful collaboration can continue in the future. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Ms. Mahima Ramadana, for your welcoming speech for today. Ladies and gentlemen, now let's moving on to the event highlight, that is presentation with Prof. Muhammad Fadhil Muhammad, and we will be guiding with our moderator is Ms. Darini Yusrina. Let's welcome Ms. Darini Yusrina and Professor Muhammad Fadhil Muhammad to the stage with a round of applause.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Good afternoon. And welcome to today's presentation seminar of Future Potential Quantity Surveying Careers in Emerging Trends and Business Technology and Management. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Yusrina. I am a lecturer in Architecture Department, and I will be the moderator of today's discussion with all. It is honor for me to introduce our distinguished speaker, Mr. Professor Dr. Muhammad Fadhil Muhammad, FRISM. Professor Fadhil is a highly esteemed professor of quantity surveying at the School of Construction and Quantity Surveying College of Built Environment, or KAB, University Teknologi Mara, or UITM, Shah Alam, Malaysia. His academic journey is truly remarkable. He holds a diploma in quantity surveying from UITM, a BSc in quantity surveying, and an MSc in offshore engineering from Robert Gordon University in Aberdeen, United Kingdom, UK. He later pursued his PhD in construction procurement at Loughborough University, also in UK, in 2007. With his research focusing on adopting appropriate procurement strategies in the oil and gas industry. Throughout his academic career, Prof. Fadhil has held various key positions at KAB, including serving as the head of the QS program, the head of postgraduate studies, and a member of the working committee for the new postgraduate programs, and the panel for postgraduate research works. Beyond the academic, Prof. Fadhil also brings over 30 years of industry experience in both Malaysia and the UK, including his work with QS consultancy firms and the Aberdeen District Council. His expertise in the field is very widely recognized, and he currently serves as certified industrialized building system IBS master trainer at the IBS Center of the Construction Industry Development Board, or ICDB, Malaysia. His contributions extend to external examination roles for QS degree program at institutions such as Taylor's University, Infrastructure University Kuala Lumpur, Twin Tech University College of Technology, and the International Islamic University, Malaysia. Presently, he continues his duties as an external examiner at Tuanku Abdul Rahman University of Management and Technology, or TRUMT, and UCSI University. Additionally, he is a fellow of the Royal Institution of Surveyors, Malaysia, further solidifying his extended reputation in the field of quantity surveying, quality. It is truly privileged to have him here with us today to share his infallible insights and expertise. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please join me in welcoming Professor Dr. Muhammad Fadhil.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirrahmanirrahim. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good afternoon. Is it afternoon? Forgot about the time. Time runs very fast in Surabaya. But just whilst we wait for the technical sort of thing to be sorted out, I just to give a short, brief introduction of myself for the last 3 days in Surabaya. Okay, first day I was at Bromo, Mount Bromo. Second day I'm at Taman Safari, exhausted. Yesterday it was a discussion, and today here I am with you all. Glad to be here. Hopefully it will be beneficial for all of you with my lecture. And what I'm trying to stress out on this lecture is on the aspects of career. If you talk about future potential QS careers, okay, there are many misconceptions. I will start my lecture by giving you some sort of a overview about how Indonesian understands QS. Okay, myself being a quantity surveyor has been sort of involved in trying to promote QS in Indonesia since 94. You can imagine, 94. It's about 30 years ago. That was the first time we had this certification course in quantity surveying. It was in Block M, Jakarta. You know, we wanted by, I think I can't remember which one of the contractor, whether it was Kita, Wijaya, or whatever it is. Can't remember. That was the first time I came to Jakarta, had this presentation, and we were thinking that this profession itself, but the QS profession will pick up from that lecture, from that course. But you know, it doesn't work that way. So for the last 30 years, we've been trying very hard in many ways, in many have efforts, in many sort of collaborations between myself, our department, UITM, QS UITM, and so on. Try to push the QS agenda in the Indonesian construction industry, but you know, it ends with failure. So this is my last sort of what I call it my last try to push the agenda through UPN VJT. You know, hopefully that they will push the agenda to the what I call it, education department, whatnot, so that this profession, this so-called QS profession, which is not many people understand actually what it is. Okay, that is what I'm going to start off first before going into many aspects of the QS profession by itself, or as I said in here, the QS potential carriers. Okay, can we try? Okay, this is me. Okay, thank you for the introduction, by the way, Madam Moderator. Okay, I think next time I'll give a short one. It's too long, I suppose, to get you all bored. But next time I'll give you a short one. Okay, right. I'm from the construction and continuing department, school, or we call it school, UiTM Shah Alam. Okay, and this is what we call as one of the biggest or the most complete faculty in built environment in Malaysia that comprises of so many departments, so many school, which you have a design base and non-design base. Say for example, the design base will be architecture, town planning, interior design, and also landscape architecture. So these are what we call as that falls under the design base, and non-design base under the faculty, under the college, sorry, would be quantity surveying, estate management, building surveying, and also geometric. We don't call it, we no longer call it land survey, but we call it geometric because it involves not only land survey, but also marine, hydrography, and also space. Okay, whatever it is we call it, right? So it's a big, what do you call it, faculty or college. And some people say that our college can actually become a university by itself. That's how big it is. Okay, so many departments. Okay, this is my content of my delivery. Delivery will deliver some of the presentation contents. First, I will give you the overview, and perhaps we'll highlight the misconceptions about QS. Okay, until now, this is 2025. There are a lot of misconceptions about QS in the industry, especially in Indonesia. Okay, sad to say, although there exists, okay, the post, the QS post in many contractor, consultant firms, and yet the general public, the general players in the industry are not, they don't have the real understanding of the real QS, which sometimes they term as the QS sebenar. They don't understand what is the QS sebenar. I will try to sort of unleash this misconception so that at least you will understand what is actually QS all this while. Okay, then we go on to the QS in business, technological management. Right, in general, okay, not many people, as I said, understand what is QS, but QS is a profession or a professional discipline recognized by the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors UK, United Kingdom. That is where it started in the UK. So there's no what do you call it? Without the introduction of QS in the UK, the Commonwealth countries will not have the word the profession QS. That's how it is. It started. Okay. Then from UK it starts to expand to other countries, other Commonwealth countries. That's why like US they don't have QS. Like say for example Canada and elsewhere, even in Indonesia you don't have that QS. Okay, because we are sort of influenced by the UK practice, UK construction practice. Okay, but there are three. What I will try to say here, there are three aspects of QS that I will share with you today. First is on the aspects of business and commercialization, technological advancements, okay, and management. Okay, where do you all fit in this university? That's what I'm trying to highlight here. Business, for example, business and commercialization. I understand that you have a faculty of business, isn't it? Yeah, right? Business and I think whatever, business and management. Sorry, business and management, right? So you have that. So we need the expert from business and management to be in the team, in the QS team, because we teach our students about business, about economy. Sorry, another one is about economy. Economy, the construction economy, and then the construction business, and so on and so forth. So business is very close to us, especially when we are doing estimating, for example, cost estimating, when we are doing supply chain, purchasing, and all that. So as I said, that is one aspect of QS that is very close to us about business. And then you have technological. QS cannot work without any technological knowledge. That's for sure. Okay, QS cannot work without any technologies. Meaning to say, any technical, when I mentioned about technical, it's all about whether it starts with architecture, whether it starts with civil engineering, civil and structural, and then we have mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, MEP, and then we have whatnots, the interior designers, the interior architectures, we call it, the landscape architecture, Sometimes we have what we call as the, what do you call it, the surveyors, the geometric just now, I mentioned just now. So it's a lot of discipline involved in the aspects of technological that we need to understand. And as for myself, I have to add on another one, which is in oil and gas. Okay, so people like me, a QS like me, has got to have the understanding about how oil and gas, about oil and gas before I can actually involve in that industry. Okay, that is technological. And finally, about management. This management is very big. It starts with project management, it starts with procurement management, which I'm going to share with you today, and also legal part. Okay, that is where you all comes in. Okay, our students are being taught in the early semesters about the aspects of basic law, because we practice common law just like the English, because we are left with the English common law. So we practice common law in Malaysia. It's a continuation of the British common legal system. So we start with common law. Say we start with, say, I think you all, what you all learn here, like contract, like tort, negligence, and so on and so forth. So the basic thing that sufficient enough for our, for our use in managing contract, for example, as I said, is about management. Okay, then we have to understand law, legal part, which is especially the contract, starts before the contract is being signed, how you prepare the document, and after the contract has been signed, how do you deal with what you have already signed? There's a long list of things that hopefully I will share with you all tomorrow. I think I have another lecture with you all tomorrow, isn't it? So that's where I will link, I will go much more closer to how QS, then a lot of our staff at our department has got the masters in law. Okay, their first degree is in QS, but they are what do you call it? They are masters in law. And the latest one, we have someone with PhD in arbitration or something like that. I can't remember, arbitration or whatnot. I can't remember, but it deals as well with law. So that's how close the aspects of law, hukum in this sense, with our QS profession. Okay, I'll share with you all that as well. And then I will give you some real examples of some of what we have done during our years survey, quantity surveying in existence. Okay, right. This is where you're talking about graduates and professionals must adapt to stay relevant. Okay, as I mentioned just now, QS is a profession where we have two parts. They call it two parts. One is what we call is before the contract is signed. Okay, any construction contract. I give you an example in the aspects, in the perspective of construction contract. Before construction contract is signed, we prepare the document, the documentations, we prepare everything, and once it is signed, we will monitor, we will sort of manage it until it is completed. Okay, so there are two parts. One we call it pre-contract, and once it is signed, we call it post-contract. Okay, so when you talk about the roles of QS, we have two roles. So meaning to say, one is before it is signed, one before signed. Okay, in general, what is some of the roles of QS in traditional and conventional QS? It's actually what we do is we prepare all the documentations. Say for example, yesterday we mentioned somebody from the technical, I think civil, mentioned about the bills of quantities. Why this is important is that, say for example, a building, okay, you need to understand what comprise the elements, the structural elements, the architectural elements of a building. And this has got to be put in order so that the contractor can price. Okay, so that is what we call the bills of quantities. So there's a skill, there's a science of doing this. Okay, which is, as I mentioned yesterday to the thing, this is our our cup of tea. This is what the students are being taught from semester 1 to semester 6 from the end. See, about this how to come up with or produce a bill of quantities. Okay, it's a long process, but it is necessary for the QS. Because once you have the quantities, when you have the what do you call it, the lease or the bills, they call it the bills, the lease is actually the bills, quantities, then that is where it becomes part of a contract. Okay, so you want to, that is, as I said, it's a long story about bill quantities. And then you have to prepare the contract form. Okay, which form you want to use? Say for example, which type of, what type of job that you that requires different kind of contracts. Okay, in detail I will explain it to you tomorrow, right? On the aspects of the contractual aspects of the what I mentioned in construction contract. I will touch you tomorrow. But now in general, that is what we prepare. Okay, once we've done that, we have what we call is the tendering stage. I think you have heard about that, right? Once you prepare all the documentations, then it will send for tendering. So the contractor will be invited to take part in this tender, and they will price. They will price the document and whatnot, and then they will agree on the appointment on the price. Then next stage will what we call as the tender report, where the QS again will scrutinize the documents, will check everything is in order, the price is in order. The price is important, okay? Because that will whatever the thing is that whatever the contractor price today will be used until the project is finished. Okay? So you are not pricing the today's price. You are actually pricing the price, for the next year or two until the project is completed. So that is important when it comes to pricing. That is where the construction business comes in. That's where, as I mentioned just now, the technical part comes in. Okay, the rising up of costs and so on will give impact to the tender sum. Okay, once we've chosen a contractor, we call him up whether you agree to this price, and then they will sign a contract. Okay, once the contract is signed, okay, the pre-contract is sealed, meaning to say it's done. Now we look at the post-contract. Okay, so what's the QS job is to monitor, okay, especially on payments, especially on whether the contractor is doing his job well, whether they are applying the right specification, which is they agree upon during the contract. Specification, what sort of tiles they want to use, what sort of windows, what sort of carpets and things like that. The QS will have to monitor on that. So they have to know the technical part. The QS has got to know the technical part as good as the architect and also the engineers. Yeah, if not, they are not be able to evaluate what is being done, what is being built, and so on and so forth. So this is important, right? So once they've done that, along the way there will be a lot of issues on contract issues, delays, for example. So how are you going to deal with delays in projects, payments, and how are you going to not to pay the contractor? If they have not done their job well, you don't pay them. So, for example, is that allowed in the contract? This is something that the QS will try to sort out. And then other things like the issue on especially the extension of time. Have you heard about extension of time? Okay, you're supposed to finish, let's say, in 24 months, and yet you cannot finish in 24 months. So what happened contractually? Are they being allowed? Are they being allowed to extend the project? So these are some of the things that the QS has got to handle, not the lawyers, but the QS. Okay, then we are trained to do that. Okay, we are trained that there are also clauses in the contract that says that this is how it should be done. Okay, so this is quite interesting, as I suppose, and there's a lot of QS currently becoming what we call as the who holds not only a QS degree but also a law degree and also a master's degree in law. Okay, there are quite a number of QS that has that qualification. Okay, so when you talk about roles, we are normally QS in Malaysia is everywhere. Tell you the truth. Okay, not just in consultancy, but also in contracting, especially in contractors, because it was the case before. Most of my students, when I was when they graduated, You're talking about 60% of my students, they will end up at a consultant firm, consultant QS firm. But now, that was something like 20 years ago, but now it has already changed. You know, because of the trend, because of the needs of QS has already changed the demand of QS graduates in industry. Now, 60% of my students, the graduated students, will end up with a contracting firm. Because why? Because contractors suddenly realize that they need QS more, okay, in their organization than anybody else. Because why? Because QS deals with dollar and cents, which is the cost, and also with contract. Okay, because these are the two issues that contractor has a lot in any construction project. So this person in their organization, and they also, the other thing is that their contractors QS has the same mindset with the consultant QS, because both has the same education, the basic are same. Okay, so you can speak much more easier between the two QSs. That's why the demand for our students now is more with the contractor compared to the consultants. Okay, and finally, QS should explore new roles. Okay, this is quite interesting. As I said, especially law graduates. In UITM, there are two sort of tier of intake. One is from what we call as A level, and then the other one is from diploma. Okay, interesting enough, there are quite a number of diploma in law students that sort of join QS because they understand that their knowledge is important in the QS field. Okay, that's why they join us, start from the semester 1 of the degree programs, and they end up with becoming a quantity surveyor. Okay, not a lawyer, I suppose, but a quantity surveyor. So it is a big professions back home, and it is also expanding in Indonesia. That's why I see a lot of potentials of the QS program to be sort of established, especially through the help or through the assistance of UPN VJT, and then hopefully that we at the UITM, the QS department can assist and in developing your own, as I said, your own QS program in Indonesia for the very first time. Okay, that's why when we see the potentials, okay, I will deal with what you call as the aspects of business, technology, and also management in detail. So what we look at this is, as I mentioned just now, this is traditional role of QS graduates and professionals in building construction, pre and post contract services, as I mentioned to you just now. Okay, I've already elaborated on that. Civil engineering and infrastructure. Okay, pre and post contracts. Okay, this is another area that has been growing very fast in Malaysia. The infrastructure, civil engineering and infrastructure. Okay, to us, civil engineers should deal with the design and management of the project. Okay, the design aspect, whatever aspects of the structural design, whatever it is. Okay, especially infrastructure projects, like roads, rail, airports, ports, and whatever it is. Okay, that should be the roles of the civil engineers in the aspect of design. But when it comes to the aspects of estimating, costing, the contract and whatnot, that is where the QS comes in. That is what being practiced in Malaysia. Okay, so you can see large projects like in Malaysia now. We are, as you know, I think most of you can find in YouTube even. You're talking about the East Coast Rail Link, ECRL, which it goes from Kota Baru down to Kuala Lumpur and to Kota Baru, Kuantan, and Kuala Lumpur, and also to Port Klang. So this is one of the biggest project currently. I think completed by maybe next 2 years. Then there's a special section, special division of QS that handle this project. Okay, not just the architect, not just the engineers, but there's a QS. There's a lot of my students in that division. So if I want anything, any info, I can get in touch with them quite easily. So that's how important this profession is in a big project like that. Another one is this was something like happened, the last. It was completed, I think, in 2020 or something like that, 2020, 21. If you heard about rapid project, oil and gas project in Malaysia, which cost about 6 billion US. Okay, the cost of the project itself is 6 billion project US, and I have the privilege to that my friend, my colleague, my coursemate in QS was the sort of head of QS division of that project. You see, and he handles, not just millions but also billions of dollars for that project. So as I said, the trust of the client, the trust of the industry in QS in Malaysia is quite high, and they can be relied upon because we are, as I said, we are a trained professionals. It's not just simply somebody who just run things without proper guidance and without proper SOP, right? And then also it's also in pre and post contract services. Before the contract is signed, we call it pre. After the contract is signed, we call it post, until completion. Once it's signed, until completion, that is what we call post contract. Okay, the other part is, these are the potential roles. Okay, this is where I talk about business aspect, the cross-border contracting. As you know, nowadays, when you talk about contracting, especially in Indonesia, for example, I think the same goes to Malaysia. Say, for example, when you talk about cross-border, there is no borderless, especially in certain aspects of the tender or contract for a large project in Indonesia, in Malaysia, and elsewhere in the world. Okay, meaning anybody from Malaysia can take part in tender in Indonesia, can take part in tender in China, can take part in tender. It's a cross-border thing. So the understanding of contract is important. Okay, not just contract, but also the project. Okay, the technical part, the business part, whether it's worth going into that country. This is what I've been doing with my students for the last maybe 10, 20 years. We've been coming to Indonesia quite frequently. I brought my students along, my master student along with me in my visits. Okay, why? For them to learn what are the potential business, what are the potential, let's say, contracts or works that can be undertaken by the Malaysian, say, contractors, for example. So my first project when I visited Surabaya was, guess what? The Suramadu Bridge. That was in 2008, if I'm not mistaken, 2008 or 2009. Okay, when we first, I brought my students there, and we were studying about actually the participation of China, the Chinese contractor, for the middle part of the bridge. It was done by a Chinese contractor. So our student went to for the site visit by boat. We took a boat from the site of from Surabaya, and then we went to the other side, to Madura. Okay, through the piers, the bridge, and the construction of the bridge. So when we went back, we did a lot of studies, and we found out that in contracting, sometimes it's quite difficult to beat the Chinese. Because why? Because the Chinese not only comes with technical and also with the cost, but their secret weapon, okay, the killer weapon they call it, would be the loans. Okay, so say for example, in that particular case, that Suramadu Bridge, why they got the project is because they say to Indonesia, okay, you don't have money, it's okay, we build for you. Once it's completed, you pay us later. Okay, so that was it was a savior for the Indonesian when the Chinese says that, you don't need to raise the funds now. We'll build that bridge for you and you pay us later. Okay, so that what I call proposal by the Chinese beat other contenders for the project. That's how they won that project. Okay? And then there are many other projects that I visited. MRT, the same. Okay, your MRT Jakarta, before it was completed, I brought my students twice, okay, for the project. Okay, just to compare about our own MRT, our own LRT in Kuala Lumpur, and compare it to Indonesia. Before it was completed, before the MRT was completed, we were around the project site. We went down to the stations. We studied quite a number of things over there. What else? The highway, the toll road in Indonesia. We studied that as well. So it's all about trying to understand. As I said, one of the reasons why we brought our students, the QS students and the master students, is to see how things are being done in other countries. You know, especially when there are no clear existence of QS in that country. Okay, so at the same time, you know, it's also a good exposure for our students to see the outside world rather than just Indonesia. Okay, and then technological. Again, still on business, we also deal with global supply chain. Okay, the QS also deals with global supply chains. That's why we need to understand about construction business. The QS needs to learn, relearn, and also to be aware of the latest trends, the business trends in what do you call it, in the global supply chain. Say, for example, you need to know whether the price is going up, why the price is going up. In 2004, 2005, you know, suddenly the price of steel shoot up. Okay, and then if you are a QS and a contractor, if you fail to be aware of that, you are going to be in trouble. Okay, you have to understand what happened. At that time, it was about the Beijing Olympic. Okay, the Beijing Olympic, the Chinese they block all the steel from the international mill because they want the steel to build the bird nest. If you know about the Olympic Stadium, the bird nest. Because of that, the price of steel shoot up. So if you are a QS, you need to also understand about that. Okay, so that you'll be ready. You are ready for any what do you call it in circumstances. Right, and then we'll talk about potential players and then cartels, corruptions, and so on. It's a big thing. So QS has got to not only deal with managing the contract, but also the people inside. Okay, the people inside, the contractors. Okay, and then the all those suppliers and things like that. Technical, I already mentioned to you. We have to look into innovative methods. I think the civil engineers and the architecture students must have known about the industrialized building system, which is part of what we call as MMC, modern method of construction. Okay, the conventional is about bricks and mortars. You know, you have people building bricks and mortars. But now, no, they build it at the factory. Once it's done, everything is clean. They brought it to the site and then install it on site. Okay. So that is what we call as more or less something to do with industrial building system. Okay, and then we are moving to that. If you go through Chinese construction in the YouTube, you'll find certain building they can be completed within how many days? Very, very fast. Okay, by using this industrialized building system or what we call as IBS. Okay, and I'm part of the team in Malaysia or under the Construction Industry Development Board Malaysia. That actually put up a manual, put up courses, programs, training for people to be aware of this system, and then to in line with the government requirements. Now, government of Malaysia is looking into IBS. They want to because the conventional require a lot of labours. Okay, a lot of labours. But by using IBS, you will reduce the number of labours. More using plants, equipment, and things like that. Modern technology up to 3D printing and things like that. You know, you can use that to build houses, offices, and things like that. And that's why they want to reduce the number of laborers. Okay, because as you know, Malaysia is the heaven for laborers. Not just for Malaysia, But from India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Myanmar, all those, they are, coming to Malaysia because of the boom in our construction industry. Okay, so the government has got to put sort of some alternatives methods, which is one of it is looking at technological advancement in industrialized building system. Okay, what will happen is that it will construct better, safer, faster, cheaper, and sustainable projects. Okay, this is another aspect that we are looking very seriously back home in Malaysia about sustainability. Okay, we don't want too many wastages. We don't want a lot of pollutions. We don't want what do you call it, burning of products and carbon dioxide emission, CO2 emission, try to reduce and all that. So these are some of the initiatives. That's where we are looking into innovative methods in construction. This is where, as I said, the architects and also the civil engineers knowledge, especially knowledge and also understanding will come into play. And finally, about management, we are talking about better and innovative approach to address the new business and technological advancement. I've talked about two things. First is about business, and then I talk about technological. It will be no good if you cannot manage it properly. You know what I mean? Okay, that's where project management understanding, the procurement management understanding of the procedure, of the operation, right way to manage projects is important. That's another aspect of aspect of QS. And more importantly, again, when it comes to the aspects of management, again, it's all about contract. It's about the understanding the application of the contract in any contract project is of critical importance. Okay, so a QS, if you ask any QS, they should know about this, especially the ones who's practicing outside, and in the firms, consultants, and so on and so forth. They are quite well versed with their contract because there are quite a number of contracts being used, which I will share with you again tomorrow. Okay, in my short lecture tomorrow, I'll try to get involved more into the contractual aspect. Okay, so when you talk about essential knowledge, okay, this is what I'm not going to repeat myself, but this is where we need to look into. I said many times when it comes to QS, they not only must understand the basic economics, okay, the micro, the macro, and things like that, but they have to go beyond that. Okay, that's why in semester 1, semester 2, they are being taught about the basic economics. But when it comes to second year, the semester 3, 4, 5, 6, it becomes much more bigger. Okay, second second year, semester 3 and semester 4, it is about what you call it, construction economics. Okay, meaning to say that you have to understand, right, how economic is being applied to construction. On what aspects? On supply chain, on the aspects of what you call it, the price index, the different price index, and the aspects of estimating and things like that. So that will be on semester 3 and 4. And finally, the last part will be on the construction business. Okay, this is quite tough because we look on the aspects of construction business from the perspective of a developer. Let's say you are a developer, you want to build a housing scheme, for example. Okay, 100 units of house or 200 units of houses. Okay, so what aspects of the business that you have to look into? Okay, so you have to look into the construction of the houses and the sales. So you have to look at both aspects. So how much will cost you to build your 100-unit houses, and how much will you get or gain from the sales, and how much are you going to sell? Okay, that's also the role of a QS. Okay, that's why I said when there's a lot of QS in well-versed about this. Okay, they know, okay, for each house that is sold, say for example, in Ringgit Malaysia, 500,000, for example. 500K ringgit, for example, right? They know how much is the cost of construction. Okay, how much is the cost of construction, and how much is they make profit out of that 500,000, 500K. Okay, so that is part and parcel of a QS, especially when you work with the developer or consultant. Normally, this is being done by the consultant. The estimate, what you call as feasibility studies, during the feasibility study stage. Okay, and also when you talk about business, it's also about supply chain and manufacturing of construction products. If you have two types of construction, one is conventional, as I mentioned, it's about bricks and mortars, right? And then you have laborers setting up the formwork, come up with the beam, the reinforcement, you pour the beton, the concrete and whatnot. So that is a conventional way of doing construction. But I mean, it's quite easy for us to estimate how much labor is needed and things like whatever lah in a QS profession, QS role. But now you have another method where everything is being done at the factory. Okay, everything is being done at the so the supplier will send, instead of to site, they will send the aggregates, the sand, whatever, the cement to factory, and the factory will do everything, and batching plant, whatever it is, and they will cast all the components at the factory. Once it's being cured, it's been ready, they will send to the factory, to the site, and they will install. So it's a new ball game, they call it. Okay, it's a new ball game where it's a different method of construction altogether. Okay, instead of they send everything on site and you build there on site, but now you have to send it to the factory where they build everything at the factory and bring it to site. So what you have at site is a very clean site. Okay, what you call is a dry site. What you call it? Sometimes they term it as a dry site. So it changes the scene of a construction site to something that's very clean. That's why Japanese, Koreans, even the Singaporeans buy their products, their components, their precast components from Malaysia at the other side of the border, and they send it to Singapore and they just install it. Okay, meaning to say, one day you see in Singapore a flat area, after a month or two you see a building. You don't see anything else. It comes together straight by the component. That is what we call using industrialized building system, which is being cast and manufactured in Malaysia, in Johor Bahru, and then they transport it to Singapore. Okay, so they avoid pollution, they avoid so many things in Singapore, and it's very sustainable, and it get rid of a lot of percentage of wastages. Okay, wastages of materials and things like that. Okay, technological. Now, that is when we talk about supply chain manufacturing. Okay, how to calculate the cost of the construction and what would be the sales price of a house or building, whatever it is. Okay, but now when you talk about technological, okay, this is a big challenge, not only to the QS but also to the industry, especially when you talk about, as I said, building information modeling. I know a lot of students from the architecture and also from the civil engineering. Okay, they know about this building information modeling, and in fact, QS also involved in BIM. But we have a special software that reads the BIM. That is what you call it. Can meet the requirement of the BIM of, let's say, architect. They use Revit, and engineer they may use something else. Okay, but on the same BIM platform, they can integrate together. They can read. So, but US, we have our own package. Okay, we have our own software, which can be Grodon, it can be CosX, it can be so many other things. So the architect will send all the drawings, architects, engineers, okay, civil engineers, and also the mechanical engineers, whatever it is. And the QS will read from this. They will read from all these drawings and they work out on this. They'll do the estimates, they'll do the bill of quantities, they'll do everything from whatever data or input that is being put by these different disciplines, from the architects, engineers, and so on. So that is what we call as building information modeling. And it's getting bigger and bigger. Right, and then we have a modern method of construction. I've already mentioned about the IBS. And then we have big data analytics. Big data analytics deals with, one of it is AI. I think you know about that, right? Architectural intelligence, artificial intelligence, sorry. Okay, so these are some of the things that been going on in Malaysia, at least. People, all the disciplines, all the professions are looking seriously about AI. Okay, in many ways, not just talking about Chat GPT, but in getting information from Japan, in getting information from UK, US, and you use that to assist you in your work, in your whatever services, okay, in your understanding, your report, whatnot, okay. And this is important nowadays. Okay, you have to rely on the internet or on the website, whatever it is, to conduct your work. And then finally, you're talking about QS involvement. Okay, it's not just about nowadays. It's not just about the common construction thing, or even talking about infrastructure, roads, railways. But now QS are also involved in modern railway construction. Again, the high speed and so on and so forth. Tunneling. Okay, you're talking about tunneling. In Malaysia, it's quite common now. Okay, those days is quite something that is quite rare. You can only find a few tunnels. Okay, in Malaysia, whether it is roads, whether it's railway. But nowadays, we have more than 20, 30 tunnels. Okay, being built for railways, for roads, for pedestrians, and things like that. Okay, so it's something new. Tunnels is something new, and it smoothen all whatever it is. If you go to KL, okay, if you have the chance to go KL or even the outskirts of KL, you rarely, there are a few more left, the crossings, the railway crossings, right? Especially in the city, you don't see railway crossings anymore. Okay, it will be something overhead. Okay, so rail has got their own route. The cars and whatever it is has got the route. They don't meet together where you have the crossings. Okay, and then finally you're talking about oil and gas and also ports and ports. Okay, so these are some of the big things that the QS involve, especially in Malaysia. And now there are growing. They are growing, as I said, in many parts of the country. Okay, and finally, this is where again comes the AI. I mentioned E and green procurement management. Okay, I will touch on that tomorrow as well, on the aspects of procurement and contract. And then again, value engineering and management. Okay, this is something that is quite interesting when you talk about value engineering and management. Okay, I don't know how far it is in Indonesia, but in Malaysia, it is a compulsory exercise that has got to be conducted by any for any development in Malaysia, which exceeds, I think, 50 million or something like that. I can remember 50 million or 100 million. So any project, government project especially, that goes more than 50 or 100 million, okay, there will be a, what do you call it, the requirement for the project to go through value engineering or value management process. Okay, just to share with you what is value management. It is something that you have to look at the project itself and put value to the project. Say, for example, you are building a hotel. You're building a hotel. Okay, where is the best value for a hotel, for example? Okay, which part of the hotel has the highest value in terms of value? I mean, okay. If you walk into a hotel, the first thing you look is the lobby, isn't it? Okay, the lobby, yeah. And then after that, you went through, you will look at the restaurant, the cafes or restaurant, whatnot. Okay, and then you go through again. It's the corridor where people walk through, and then you look through again. Is the bedrooms. Okay, so for a hotel, a value must be put on a higher side on this location. The lobby, the cafes, and whatever else facilities. And if you have sort of, say, seminar room and things like that, that is also a priority because people will use it a lot. Okay, so you will spend more on that. Okay, more expenses on making it nice, making it better for that. But the rest of the hotel, you can cut down on the cost, can reduce the cost. That is what we meant by value engineering or value management. Okay, the same thing with airport, for example. Okay, what is the most important aspect of an airport? Of course, the runway, isn't it? That's where the plane take off and the plane landed. So the cost, you have to give more cost on that to ensure that it is of higher standard, less maintenance, and it is safe. Okay, so you have to spend more on that. But the terminal, well, you can actually, try to reduce certain aspects of the terminal, except for it is for the comfort of passengers. Of course, you have to give more on that. But other than that, you can sort of reduce the cost. So value engineering and value management in Malaysia is being, normally conducted or done by a QS, okay, a quantity surveyor. A firm, normally, they will do that, and they will go to a process. There's a process of, they call it value engineering and value management. The same thing with asset facilities and management. I was in the car just now. I spoke to one of the person who picked me up at my hotel. Okay, in the practice in whether it's Indonesia or Malaysia, I think more or less the same. Normally, when it comes to a project, any construction project, for example, right? To us, the most important thing is the budget for the construction. Is that right? Okay, if you know about it, okay. Normally, we are so engrossed, we are so sort of focused on how much we need to spend on the construction. Okay. Once it is completed, then we start to think, okay, how are we going to manage it? How we do the maintenance? Okay, that's why you see the roads are not properly maintained, not properly maintained, it's not properly maintained, and whatever else, buildings not properly maintained, you have dirty toilets, you have whatever, not working, lift not working, escalator not working, so on and so forth. Because why? Because we are too concerned about constructing, but not on the maintenance aspect. Just to share with you, when I was working in the UK, any projects that they want to build, they want to conduct, or when they want to start off, the budget not only they have got to raise the fund, the budget, not only for the construction, but also for the maintenance. Okay, so meaning to say that once it is completed, the project is completed, there's already a budget for maintenance ready to be used. Okay, and then the team is already there. The team for maintenance team is already there. Okay, so once it's done, it will continue. They will pick up the maintenance part. So some of the projects that I went back to see during my work in the UK, it was just like the first day when it was completed. It was well maintained. It was sort of, properly maintained because they have a budget for it. They have already set aside the budget for it even before the building is being built. Okay, but not unfortunately it's not happening in Malaysia and also in Indonesia. Okay, so that's why our building, if they are not properly maintained, then it will be a sad scene to see after 2-3 years. Okay, then you will have an issue, right? So and eventually it's all about contract management and services. Where do you where does the legal part, the contract comes in? This is where the contractual understanding, application, and also how are you going to manage the project before it is being signed, after it is being signed, and even once the building is completed. Okay, what details that you need to look into. Just for your info, normally once the building is completed, Once it's being, signed, is a CPC, they call it Certificate of Practical Completion, hand over to the client. Okay, what the QS will do is that they will check on the accounts, on the project accounts, and sometimes it may take years before they close the account. Okay, the final account they call it. Okay, the final account. So they must have understanding of the cost aspect, the legal aspect, the contractual aspect, and also all other aspects, especially that deals with the contract, the EOT, extension of time, the delays, loss and expenses, legal LAD, and so on and so forth. Which I will, as I said, I will share with you tomorrow, okay, on those things. Okay, new trends. Okay, now we are moving from the conventional QS. Okay, now we are moving into new trends. What are the things that we need to look? As you see, the COVID made a lot of difference. Okay, it made a lot of difference to the trends, to the how things are being done, and also perhaps we need to look at a new business approach. This is where construction supply chain. As you know, nowadays we have what we call is a global supply chain, where the product is from, say, from Malaysia, but it is being assembled in Korea, for example. Product is from Indonesia and is being assembled in Singapore, and so on and so forth. And Thailand is capitalizing on this. Thailand, they are capitalizing on this. They are the major producers of components, building components, and you can find their components in most ASEAN countries, including Japan, Korea, even China, Taiwan, and all that. They construct and they send, just like Shopee. You produce, they request, they will send, just like that. So that is a trend that they're doing now. You see, it doesn't mean that you build something here in Indonesia and it will be used in Indonesia. No. Okay, the trend is you build in Indonesia, your product may end up in Malaysia, Singapore, or whatnot, or wherever else. Okay, so that is a new trending that is in the industry at the moment. The construction supply chain, they call it. And then the move of common business to IBS. Okay, as I mentioned about Thailand, they build their components in Thailand and they ship it to Japan. I was visiting Japan, one of my trip with my students on a site, a construction site in Japan. Okay, so when we arrived there, we look at the building. It was still under construction. So we look at the components, right? So we asked the Japanese contractor, can we visit the manufacturer, where do they manufacture the components? Okay, the site, the factory, where they measure. So they just say, no, we don't do it in Japan. We don't manufacture it in Japan. These components are manufactured in Thailand. You know how far Thailand to Japan, but and yet they do that because they don't want to deal with all the dirty works of the construction part. The wet construction, they call it, the concrete, the mix, whatever. They don't want to do that. They want the component and you fix it there. That's it. That's what they want. Okay. So we were quite surprised. Oh, like that, So they import it from Japan, or they order it from Thailand. The Thailand ship them to Japan, and then they fix it there. So that is how things are working at the moment. So as for the QS, they have to understand, okay, the pricing, for example. Okay, normally it's quite straightforward pricing. Say you buy, materials, materials, sand, aggregates, whatever it is, cement, and just measure. Now it's different. You talk about buying sand aggregate, yes. Then you have to talk about what? But how to deliver it to Japan? What would be the cost? What would be the freight cost? Freight, how we to send there? What would be and so on, the transportation, and then so on. Okay? So it's a big challenge to our QS nowadays. And we have to understand, as I said, how not only the technical parts, but also the business part, the business and also the management. And that, of course, again, there's always a contract. In any construction project, there is a contract. Okay? Now you're talking about contract between Thailand manufacturer and client from Japan. So what sort of contract did they use? Okay, in that circumstances. Okay, that is on commercialization. Again, accounting and finance. Okay, QS is also being brought into accounting and finance because the accountants and financial controller, they can look on the numbers. They can look at the numbers. But how it comes about, the numbers from the construction side, from the suppliers and all that, that is where the QS comes in. Okay, so the QS is a bridge between the construction and the accountants. Okay, because the accountant, they don't understand about construction. They only look at figures. Okay, they know, okay, the figure this and this should end up with like this. But how it come about, they don't know. That is where the QS assists. The QS assists the accountants especially on that aspect, especially looking at the technical, looking at the business part, and looking at the management. Okay, so it is quite critical nowadays when you talk about construction, accounting, and finance. Okay, source of finance. There is another aspect of areas that is a lot of people are looking at. For example, okay, you are a client. Okay, you want to build a building. You want to build a building, a complex or whatever. Okay, how are you going to look at the finance aspect? Okay, where do you get funds? You know, if you are government, that's different. Government, they have the funds. They are more than capable of financing the project. But you're talking about private. Where do you want to get the funds from? From banks, from societies, whatever, you know, from mortgages and things like that. So this is where, again, the banks will require a report by a QS. Okay, how much will it cost, and what is the terms of payment, repayment for loans? How are they going about to pay back, and how long will it cost, and so on and so forth. Okay, again, bank, they don't understand about construction. Okay, they only look at figures, just like accountants. They look at figures, and they look at what they give you and what they expect to get back, plus the interest. That's basic banks, about banks. But they don't know how the figure comes in. So that's why, again, a QS is very important. And there are now good news that banks are employing QSs. Those days, not so many QS as being employed by bank. Now, yes, we start to employ QSs because they see the needs to have a QS to look into that. Okay, especially if you heard about abandoned projects, you know, the developer, they build a house, suddenly they stop. They don't have enough money, short of funds, they stop. Okay, and then there's an issue, contractual issue, and so on. So the best person to handle abandoned project will be the QS. Okay, because they know many things about the project, from technical, from the business aspect, and also from the contractual aspects. Okay, so this is something that as I said, why, you know, the importance of QS in this industry. Okay, this is construction accountant. Okay, they call it construction accountant. So just like any other accountants, right? So you have the financial management. Okay, your cash flow. You have to look at your cash flow, what comes in, what goes out. Okay, and so on and so forth. So you have to have a balanced account. But these are all the things that the QS does in a contracting firm. Not contractor, remember, not contractor, but this is what we call the plate construction accountant. The QS is also sometimes called the construction accountant. Okay, because they can understand about all those things. They don't just look at figures, but as I said, how the figures comes in. Okay, the progress of the project. You know, accountant, they don't understand about the technical part of the progress of a project. But a QS, yes, they do understand. Okay, that's how we understand that. The accountant, they don't know about, say, for example, in compliance or cost management or even contract. Okay, they don't really know about that. Construction contract, I mean. Okay, so this is something where the potential aspect of QS in the QS career is in this. And there are a few consultant firms, QS consultant firms, that has a special section they call construction accountants. Okay, so there's a great potential that people from the accounting background, background, can also learn about QS and become this. Later on, they can become the construction accountant, they call it. Okay, and then you talk about QS in business, finance, and commercialization. This is again forecasting. Okay, now with the use of AI, the statistical model, and we call it Monte Carlo simulation, GIS, and things like that. The modern, as I say, AI. Okay, it helps a lot. It helps the QS a lot, and trying to look at the word forecasting. You know about forecasting? Forecasting tahu kan? Ramalan. Okay, ramalan. Ramalan cuaca tak boleh pakai lah kan, tapi this is what we call as ramalan tentang cost. It is very difficult, but there's a tools. Inilah yang saya masukkan tentang tools. Okay, what happened actually ialah there are tools that help the contractor. I mentioned to you just now kan, whatever the contractor price today is not the price for today. It's the price for apa? For future. Sebab apa? But the project will be conducted in the future. Faham? You price katakan 1 juta hari ni kan. Okay? The next 3 years, next 3 months, it may not cost 1 juta. Okay? It may goes up or it may goes down. Right? Okay? So how are we going to forecast? These are some of the tools that we can use. Say for example, Monte Carlo forecasting and whatever else too. Okay, there are tools nowadays. Even AI is. You can also look at statistical models of how to forecast certain construction material, for example, the price of construction materials based on previous trends. As I said, there's a technique for that we teach our students for that. And then property investment. Okay, just now I mentioned about if you are a QS working in a developer, you will need to understand the cost for construction and how much you get for sales. Okay, so you have to look at the aspects of what we call as property investment. So meaning to say that you put 1 million, so for the sake of argument, you put 1 million in that project. Of course, when you look at the investment that you put 1 million, in 3 years' time, when you sell the property, it will not be 1 million. Am I right? Yeah, it will be more. So how much more is normally, there's a way of calculating that is actually being done by QS through what we call as valuation approach. Okay, so through a valuation approach. So this is quite interesting, and a lot of my former students, they go into this area. Once they graduated, they go into this property investment and valuation area, and they became a property property valuer, and also investment valuer. Okay, so again, there's a big opportunity for QS graduates that they can go into, not just in the normal what you call it area or construction industry, but also into this one. Okay, now when we talk about MMC, okay, there will be there's a lot of issue that when we talk about modern method of construction and sustainability. Okay, in Malaysia currently, the government has been putting forward the agenda for ESG, they call it environmental, social, and governance. Okay, E is for environmental, social, and governance. Any project that you want to conduct, you have to follow these requirements. Okay, the ESG, environment, okay, sort of green, sustainable, and sort of social. who it is meant for, who are your house buyers, or what do you targeted, who is being targeted for your house construction, and also finally the governance. Okay, how are you going to conduct this project? Who is going to participate, by whom, and so on and so forth. What type of contract you want to use? That comes under governance. So the government is very, very strict about this because, as you know, in any given project, people tend to misuse their power, okay, and then get into corruptions, they get into so many other unhealthy practices, and so on and so forth. That's why the government stress about this is ESG, to be used in government projects. Okay, I'll take less than that. Okay, thank you. And then finally, you're talking about circular economy. Okay, this is again, a circular economy means to say it goes round. Okay, you're talking about recycle, renew, use, and also I mentioned about the ESG. Okay, so these are some of the things that being pushed forward by the government when you talk about trying to improve the social being, and also the aspects of providing, say for example, housing for the less fortunate or the low income group. That is for S, social, and this has been a big agenda in this current government policy. Okay, when you talk about technological advancement, okay, QS, as I mentioned just now, is no longer involved in a typical construction project. Typical, when I say typical, just like construction of buildings, construction of infrastructure and things like that. But QS are moving forward. We are getting involved in so many other big projects, large project and complex project, and a very big and large complex. For example, we talk about marine, offshore engineering, offshore platforms. Talking about ports, airports, and passengers, cargo, and things like that. So these are some of the big projects that are happening in Malaysia. And as I said, there will be a QS that handles the contractual aspect of it. And also, you're talking about modern rail construction. I mentioned about ECRL. You're talking about toll highways. If you visit Malaysia, okay, be ready to pay for toll. Toll. Whenever you drive, okay, you have to be ready to pay toll, okay, because there's a lot of tolls in Kuala Lumpur especially. Okay, if you want to cut the traffic, if you want to cut down the traffic, the hours of driving or hours traveling, you have to be ready to pay a lot of toll. Fare that you have to pay. So that is one of the biggest, investment in Malaysia, where the government provided you the land. They will give you the land, provide you the land, and the concessionaire for the toll roads will build, and they will sort of collect money through the toll collections. So, and then they have a concession for 30 years or 35 years, and then later on they will, once they cover back their expenses and profit and things like that, they will hand it over to the government. Okay, that comes under what we call as PPP, public finance, public-private partnership. Okay, then under that you have private finance initiative, build, operate, transfer, build, lease, transfer, which is again on contractual aspect, which I will share with you again tomorrow. Okay, so be ready for tomorrow's talk. There will be a lot of things that we can discuss about the different types of contract or procurement being used in Malaysia especially. And then the final one is cross-state water supply tunneling. Okay, the issue in Malaysia is that, although we are the same, we have same amount of rain, some amount of sunshine, being a tropical country, but in Malaysia we have states, like here they call it province. we have different states. Some states, they have rivers, big rivers, so they have no problem with water. But some states, they don't have big rivers where they can, get their water from for the population. Therefore, they get water from other states through water tunnels, they call it, yeah? Cross states water supply tunnel. So they build a tunnel across the states from one state that has a very big river, for example, but no people living there, not many people living there, into KL, for example, where you have this metropolitan city where water is always, sort of in short supply. Okay, so we get water from other states and put it into other states. So this is quite common. There's one project from Pahang to Selangor, and there's another project from, I think, from Perak also to Selangor. Okay, so this is something that I think going to be quite common, and it is quite interesting that it is a tunnel, water supply tunnel. Okay, this is the last, I think among the last point I want to share with you. In Malaysia, especially as I said, as it is now, you can see the third one, oil and gas. That is where I come in. QS is moving into oil and gas. Okay, especially as I said, in order for a QS to be involved in the oil and gas industry, they have to know the technical. Just like they want to get involved in the construction, they need to know about the technical. Okay? Although we are not the person who design it, but we must understand the processes, the components, and then also especially the cost of it. The construction and also the cost of it. So that is where sometimes QS get involved, okay, in oil and gas. There's quite a lot of my colleague, my QS colleague that is in Petronas, in Shell, in so many other oil and gas companies, working as a quantity surveyor. Or sometimes they call it a different name, but they do the same services, the same responsibilities. So it is quite common in Malaysia. But over here, I'm not quite sure whether, Pertamina knows about QS, or maybe they have something different post for somebody else. I don't know. No, maybe it may not be a QS, but in Malaysia, it's quite clear about that. As I said, a good friend of mine is among the QS being employed by Petronas. Okay? And then aeronautical and aerospace engineering. This is the latest. There's one quantity surveying firm, and he is my colleague. Used to lecture at UiTM, and then now his firm is being invited by what do you call it, Lembaga Angkasa Malaysia or something like that, to look into the possibility of sending satellites and whatnot to the space, right? So my friend involved in doing the estimating of the launcher, the pad, whatever it is, and all the accessories. So he has to learn the technique, the technology of aerospace, about rockets, about the satellites and everything. Okay, and his first project is going to be launched, I think, middle of this year. Okay, and they are working on it. And as I said, it is something new to QS profession, but this has potentials. Okay, a lot of potentials, as I said. And finally, the ones that I'm going to share with you tomorrow, quite interestingly, project and construction management, AI tools, real-time project, and drones. Okay, usually, I mentioned to you just now, QS, they have post, pre, and post, right? Post contract is where you do valuation, if you know, how much for a certain period of time. If you want to do payment to the contractor, you have to assess how much has been done by the contractor. The normal practice those days, even now, is you have to go there personally. You go to the site, assess, okay, this is completed, this is, and so on and so forth. But now you don't need that. All you need is a drone. Okay, you send the drone will pick up whatever, photo, aerial photo, whatever it is. They can even go inside buildings, they can walk just like men, but you don't actually have to do it. Somebody else will do it for you. Yeah, you just sit in your office, you look at the videos, and then you make an assessment from there. Okay, that's how advanced nowadays. When you talk about the role of quantity surveyors, you don't need to go there. If you know, there's one roads, a highway in Borneo, they call it Pen Borneo. Okay, from beginning till the end of the project, it was being monitored by drones every 1 month. Every 1 month, they will send a drone through the roads to look at the progress of the roads. So the engineers, the QS, they don't need to go there. Okay, they just based on the drone videos. Okay, so that is the advancement of the technological advancement into procurement management. And also, this is also, we're talking about changes in business trend. Again, I think this is much more what I will touch tomorrow on green procurement, for example. What is green procurement? This is again a policy by the government to look into green materials, sustainability, and so on and so forth. Okay, so they are very serious about that currently in Malaysia, and the QS must be, be able to understand what is required in that policy before they can conduct these studies. Asset management, facilities management, special plans. Okay, as you know, facilities, once it's completed, handover, and the first thing you have to do is to make sure that the facilities are maintained, the facilities are managed properly, so that it can last, through its lifetime. Okay, so that whatever investment that you put in the building, in building that building, whatever it is, is being worth paying. Okay, as long as you maintain it well. Okay, this is important. Facilities management is important. It's very, very important. Okay, if I can, this is again something that I will touch tomorrow: the construction law, arbitration, mitigation, and Sharia. We even put Sharia into the, we throw Sharia into the game. In UiTM, there is a few lecturers that being gone through the what do you call it, course on Sharia in contracts. How to apply Sharia in contracts, and this is how we are trying to do quite a number of research. Okay, in Sharia law, how it can be applied to construction contracts. And also arbitration and mitigation. This is again quite common. There's a lot of issue, not in Malaysia, but also in Indonesia, on arbitration and mitigation. Okay, where there's disagreement and also there's disputes, contract disputes. Okay, the whole idea of having a construction contract is to avoid construction disputes. But sometimes construction disputes cannot be avoided. Okay, that's the whole idea of why you have a construction contract. Okay. Okay, these are real examples of a company that get involved with QS department in their teaching and also their expertise from the industry. For example, Akadis. Akadis is one of the biggest QS firm in Malaysia. Okay, we have a what do you call it, collaboration with them, and they always send our students, whatever things that the students want, and also we can put it into what we call digital transformation. We can access whatever that they allow us to access the company to get information, especially data, cost data, and things like that. And also on talking about green building practices and sustainability, also we are into that as well. And this is UBM. Again, they help us in BIM tools, digital tools, and cost management project tracking. Okay, as you know, based on your tracking of the project using certain software, you can predict whether the project is having problem or not. There are means of doing that. We need to say from that tracking system or software, you can assess, okay, there will be problem. This project is going to have a problem. Okay? So QS are into it. So we will warn the client, say that, there's something wrong with this project. Okay, you better be careful. I think we have to remind the contractor that they have to do something about this, or we have to advise the architect or the engineers, whatnot. Okay, so this is important, and it gives a lot of what we call as good results later on when we manage to actually predict. They call it project tracking. Okay, so that you don't that you know what is going to happen roughly, rather than suddenly the project stops. You don't know what happened. Okay, that will be a lot of problem. Then if that happened, you will be in a lot of problem. Okay, so we monitor and we sort of track the project. Okay, and then we have something like diversification into oil and gas. So QS, we have what we call it elective in our syllabus. All of my students, QS students, are given the choice. If they want, they can pick up one elective subject, one elective course in oil and gas, technical and management. Okay, so in their transcript, they have that. They have that results in the transcript, that course. So if they want to go out and work with an oil and gas company, at least they have that. They all, during interview, they look, you know something about oil and gas. Okay, so that they will, they have that competitive advantage over others, over our other QS graduates from other universities. So that is, and it shows, and the result really shows. Okay, quite a number of our former students get into oil and gas companies. This is again London and Shah. This is another one big. London and Shah is a worldwide company. Okay, again they assist us a lot, in especially in many aspects of providing software, QS training software, and so on and so forth. So we are in good partnership with them. Okay, this is Turner and Shamshall, based in UK. Turner and Shamshall is based in UK. This is what we teach our students. Okay, this is the one that I mentioned to you. Okay, these are the basic main courses of subject offers. Measurement, the two measurements. Building works, actually normally for architects. Okay, we need the assistance of architect on that aspect, the measurement of building works. Okay, because we get the drawings, when we do the measurement, we get the drawing from the architect and also for engineers actually, as well for the structural components and things like that. And then measurement for civil engineering works. This again goes into roads, infrastructures and all that, whatever civil engineering works. And they have different standard method of measurement, they call it SMM. Okay, standard method of measurement for building works and standard measurement for civil engineering works. I don't know whether they teach you here. For all this is in the process of producing a bill of quantities. And then you have the common thing, construction technology, construction economics. Okay, as I mentioned, okay, this is from the Faculty of Economics normally, and then you have professional practice. This is our has got to be from a QS, okay, on our part. Analysis of prices, that one can be from construction economics. Project management can be from civil, whatever it is, I don't know. So civil will have that, isn't it? Russian law, of course, this is your bread and butter, isn't it? Okay, and then building services, again, this is MEP, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. Computer-aided design, I think you have a computer faculty here, there's no issue. And also computer-aided measurement and estimating. So more or less, I think UPN, UJT is ready to start off this QS program with all these things, with the assistance of UITM, of QSITM in certain subjects. And later on you can take over and then you can develop your own program. Okay, you see the potential, isn't it? Okay, so that's the reason why, one of the reasons why I myself and my department proposed to UPNJT that they should start, or rather they should think about pursuing or starting this program. It takes time, of course. It takes time, but we have to start somewhere, isn't it? Okay, we have to start somewhere, right? So more or less elective courses. This is what I mentioned just now. This is something that the student will choose. I think two out of these 6, they have to choose 2 electives. It can be sustainable, facilities, Sharia, oil and gas, risk management, and value management. So this is something that value-added courses to our QS students, so that if they are involved, they want to get involved with one of these, at least they have some idea about the what do you call it, this discipline. Okay, some of the webinar seminars that we share with our industry collaborators. We call them many once in a while. They will come and we look into. So you see, so many topics, sustainability, and so many other things here. Okay, construction cost, data indices. Okay, so that is more on economics and also computer, IT and things like that. Construction project experiences, value. This is talking about value. And then you have career opportunities, costing. I think you heard about that as well. Okay, this is especially on the aspects of circular economy, life cycle costing. Professional talk on value management, practice cross-border facilities management. So many. We have this going on. So to conclude, just to conclude, I think my time is up. Okay, anyway. The 3 categories of I mentioned just now, right? Technological, economics or business, and also the management, which include law, is the core or behind quantity surveying profession, and also for their future careers. So as the trend moves, as the trend moves into something new, we have to, sort of be at par with it, at least learn about it, so that we are able to, we are not left behind, I put it that way, so that we can, catch up with the industry properly. Okay, so with that, thank you very much for your attention. Okay, much appreciated, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for the presentation. We are glad to know that now we have new knowledge about quantity surveying and how misconception has been spread about it. It is very interesting how QS could consist of different knowledge such as business, technology, and management, and we can even learn it in a department in university. Okay, for the students, is there any question? We will take 2 questions. You are very welcome to use Bahasa Indonesia, because Professor Fadhil also understand Bahasa Indonesia. It's amazing. Okay. Is there any question from the audience? 2, Mas yang pakai kacamata sama di antara 2 itu. Mungkin 3-3-nya ya.
Thank you for the opportunity. I wish to ask a question that is relevant to us architecture students. If architecture graduates wish to pursue education and subsequently a career in QS, do we need to focus only on subjects that are relevant to architecture, such as like construction, project design and all that, or is it feasible for us to pursue other subjects such as the management aspect or the accounting aspect and such? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question. Right, just to clear up the air, first and foremost, architects and quantity surveyors are two different professions. Okay, they are two different professions, right? So architect has their roles and responsibility, and so does a quantity surveyor. So we are a professional by our own. So the only way that an architect, a potential architect, would want to become a QS is that either you pick and choose some of the topics or certain subjects. Say, for example, you want to know about contracts, you want to know about costing, you want to know about just to give you as an architect a value added knowledge, about costing, about contract. That is normally happening in Malaysia as well. Okay, they already become an architect and they went to courses, to seminars, to talks, whatever, to gain that extra knowledge. The other way around, which happens also to our students, is that when they completed their diploma, for example, right? They feel that they are not interested anymore doing the design, for example, and design is too much for them. Okay, they want to sleep easy at night, rather than sleeping over projects, uncompleted design. So they say, I want to go to do something else. So they then from the diploma, and they go back to semester one. Okay, and then at the end of the day, at the end of the program, they become a quantity surveyor with that extra knowledge on architecture. You know what I mean? So that's another route. But normally, what's practiced back in Malaysia is that an architect will attend courses, as I mentioned, courses on measurement, courses on contract, courses on costing, to add on their knowledge. Because these are not being taught, isn't it? These are not being taught in your program, isn't it? About some of the things, except maybe for contract you have, but not in that detail. Okay, did that answer your question?
Yes, so it's basically like adding value to us as an architect.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, welcome.
Okay, the next question. Yang.
All right. First of all, I would like to say thank you about the opportunities to discuss this topic with you. My name is Arthur. I'm from architecture major. So, Professor, I will take the development of the new Indonesian's capital city, Ibu Kota Nusantara, or as we know as IKN, as an example, which involve transforming a large area of forest into a modern city. And so my question is, how can quantity surveyors or QS ensure that they work on this kind of project, prioritize environmental sustainability, and what strategies can be employed to incorporate these considerations into the QS scope of work? Thank you in advance.
It's a long one, but I try to understand. I try to answer. If I don't answer you, you just ask me to repeat, right? I think that's a very long question. Okay, thank you very much for the question anyway. Right, it's a good example if you ask me how QS can get involved in that large, big project. I think IKN, what do you call it? IKN, isn't it? IKN. Sorry about my name. Just like Putrajaya. You know Putrajaya in Malaysia?
Yes.
The capital city, right? The capital city, administrative city. Not capital city Kuala Lumpur, but the administrative city is Putrajaya. So when Putrajaya first started, it was a palm oil tree. Yeah, palm oil estate, you know what? Is it, so it's a very big area. And then it starts off with the planning aspect. Dipanggil perancang bandar dan wilayah. They are the one who first sort of explore the area, right? They explore the area, they go into detail, they produce whatever drawings based on the assistance by the land surveyors. Land surveyor. And then once they get it done, then that drawings will be sent to the architects, will send to the QS and so on, all the participants of the project. So based on the QS job scope, we normally do the estimates, they call it. The preliminary estimates, the earliest estimates, based on what is being proposed on site. Say you want to have an office here, whatever, staff quarters there, and so on and so forth. So it's a very large area, isn't it? So we'll use our tools, special QS tools, they call it, to do the estimates of how much will cost for the quarters, how much it will cost for the officers, and so on and so forth. So using that estimate, that rough estimate, the government will look at their budget. Okay, whether they have enough budget or whether their budget is only sufficient to start off with a few projects first, rather than starting the whole the development, the whole development. They go on partial. First we start this because we have so much budget, right? So we start this first. So the QS will advise how much will cost you to build this one, and then the next one, then the next one, and so on and so forth. So that is among the role of a QS, that advise on cost. At the same time, the QS will also advise, as another one is the type of contract to be used, okay, for the construction, So what type of contract and that we want to apply in that project. And for your information, for one project, for one big development, there could be 3 or 4 type of contract being used, not just one. Okay, for this one may be different, for this one may be different, this one the same, this one the same, and so on and so forth. So depending on the type of project, the nature of the project, the QS will advise the government on how to get the project run through different types of contract. Okay. Anything else? I'm not quite sure.
I think it's enough to
Enough.
answer the
Okay.
questions.
Okay.
Thank you, Professor.
Because that's a long question just now. I may not catch some of it. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the answer. Okay, the last one.
Before that, thank you so much for the opportunity. So I'm Olivia. I'm from architecture department as well. So the question is, like, as we know that the quantity surveying has its own universal approachment or key, which is it's supposed to be able to apply in every market or country. But since every country has its own regulation, does it still affect the country regulation, and to what extent or how far that would be affect the country regulation? And is it necessary if we adopt this universal approach with tailored strategies to use, so that could be
She keep moving.
Okay.
Sorry, I cannot catch you because.
I'm sorry. I'll repeat it. So
Okay.
Slower, please.
Okay,
Slower,
okay.
slower.
Okay,
Can
thank
you
you.
go
Okay.
one by one? You can ask
Okay.
me 3 or 4 questions, no problem. But go slow. One thing you have to go slow.
Okay,
Ask me
right.
the first question. What was the first question?
So that as we know, right? The quantity surveying has a universal key or approach, which is it's supposed to be able to apply in every market or country,
Okay.
but every country has its own regulation.
Oh, okay.
Is it will be affected to the country regulation, and is it necessary if we adapt this universal approach with tailored strategies, so that it
Okay.
could be used to every country and the regulation?
Okay.
Thank you so much.
I think I got your question. Right. I think it's a good one as well. Okay. You're talking about quantity surveying is a practice.
Right.
Quantity surveyor is a professional practitioner. Right?
Right.
So you have to differentiate between quantity surveying and quantity surveyor. Right. That is one. Secondly, in some countries, say for example in the US, they don't call them the practitioner quantity surveyor, but they call it an cost engineer. Okay, so you find that term cost engineer in the US, but not in the UK or and elsewhere. But you see, so maybe the name is slightly different, but the roles and responsibilities and the services provided are the same. Okay, more or less lah, more or less. Maybe not the same thing, but more or less the same. Okay, that is one. Secondly is the what do you call it? The practice, the quantity surveying practice is a common thing, you know, among practitioners in the world, whether in Japan, whether in Korea. Even in Japan and Korea, they don't have what do you call it, quantity surveyors, but still they practice the quantity surveying subjects or practice. You understand? But just like in Indonesia, right? Just like Indonesia, the architect will do some of the quantity surveying work, right? And then the engineer, civil engineer will do the same. They will do some of the quantity surveying work. And then the lawyers will do the same. They will take part of the construction contract work and so on and so forth. So it is being distributed among other professions in doing quantity surveying work. But if you have a quantity surveyor, they will alone do that work themselves. You understand what I mean? Okay? So if instead of having 4, you have lawyers, you have architect, you have engineers and things like that, they're doing a QS work, but now you have one QS that will help them, assist them to do their work. You know? That is why quantity surveyors are so important. And also they become the bridge, you know, the bridge between the different disciplines. Okay? Say for example, architect, they don't understand about, let's say, the law, the aspect, the contract, for example, right? So the QS will assist the architect to make them understand, okay, under this clause, under this contract, under this is how we do it. This is how we do it. You know what I mean? The same with engineers, for example. They don't understand about the costing. How do you do costing for this? So the QS will advise the engineer. Okay, the advisor will say, okay, this is how we do it. I know, based on this drawing, this is how we do estimate and so on and so forth. So at the end of the day, you will find that the QS assistance, the profession is assistance is necessary and quite critical at times, especially when there are disputes. You know, disputes, disagreement. The client do not want to pay the contractor want to claim, you know, from the client, see, based on the contract and so on and so forth. So somebody has got to stay in the middle. They do not cite the client and do not cite the contractor, just like a lawyer. So normally in this case is the QS, because they not only understand the contract, they also understand the technical aspect of it. Okay? Does that answer the question? Okay. Thank you.
So if I can summarize, basically QS is like the personal assistance for every work. So let's say for the lawyer, they need to observe or obtain several information, then we can just ask. QS will do the job for them, and then they will make the proper document, and then the QS will oversee everything so the works can go smoothly, something like that. Okay.
Just remind me tomorrow's lecture about construction tribunal. In Malaysia, we have what we call a construction tribunal, where the QS assists the lawyers, especially in dealing with construction disputes. Okay, just remind me tomorrow if I cannot remember.
Okay. Okay, we still have time for one more question if there's any. No more question? Oh, there's, okay, the last question. Mic-nya mungkin.
First of all, thank you for the time, and it's an honor to have this chance to ask for a question. I am currently studying in architecture, and I want to ask, since a quantity surveyor looks at a construction project from a highly analytical and financial lens, would that affect the creativity freedom of the architect in the design of the project?
I think that's a very, very good question. Thank you. Okay. That's why QS keep on arguing with architects sometimes about that. Okay. I think that's a very valid question. By the way, I always argue with my son. My son is an architect. So I'm a QS. I always argue with him, right? Especially when it comes to design. Okay. Put it this way. At the end of the day, sometimes an architect is given the freedom to design, right? By the client. The client say, okay, I leave it to you, design whatever you want. So the architect will get so excited and so, ambitious, and sometimes over ambitious, in fact, not just ambitious, over ambitious, and they start building something that is, out of the world, right? But in reality, whether that is this practical or not will depend on the QS. When the client looks at the estimates, right? The client got 1 million, but the architect designed for a 10 million, Then the client will say, what is this? I'm not going to pay for that. You know what I mean? So again, it will go back to the QS, Can you advise the architect to tone down the design? So sometimes that is where, the fight begin lah. The architect say, no, this is the best, that kind of thing, right? But the problem is the client has got not enough funds. You see what I mean? We are not to be blamed. Sometimes the QS are blamed because of that. But we are telling the architect actually, come on, be reasonable in your design. We can accept your, much more simpler, much more affordable design. That's the word. You know what I mean? So if you say that, you put design, a good design, you throw it to the client will say first, wow, isn't it? Say, oh, wow. But the second, what question do you think they will ask? Huh? How much it will cost, isn't it? So if that, once they heard about how much it's going to cost, the first thing whether they say yes or no, isn't it? So again, the flexibility of the design of an architect, and again, will depend on the reality and the affordability of the client. That is where, as I said again, the QS help the architect to tell the client, can you afford to pay this much? You know what I mean? But for all you know, maybe the client started off with 1 million, for example. But suddenly when we say it's 10 million, they say, okay, we try to find more money to go, to build the building. You see what I mean? So in a way, we assist the architect to make it a reality by telling the client that, this is how much you're going to pay them. You know what I mean? Okay, so it doesn't stop the architect from doing what they want, for designing what they want. But actually, it's a something that, what do you call it, a check and balance by the QS to tell the architect and also to inform the client, this is how much it's going to cost. Okay? So I hope you answer your questions. Huh? Okay, are you happy with that, or you want to ask more?
I think it's enough.
Okay.
So basically, QS can work as a bridge between clients and the professionals, so the project stays within the limit, whether it budgets or low, something like that. Okay, I think we are at the end of the discussion since we are within our time limit. I would like to tell about the conclusion about these discussions. Basically, there are 3 categories of knowledge: exposure, experience that are play a vital role in advancing and broadening the scope of quantity surveying graduates, which are business and management, technological and development, construction, and procurement management. All 3 categories. This expansion can contribute to a more sustainable and improved future across various industries, sectors, and fields. Therefore, hopefully, in the future, there are further research that can be conducted in these energies. So the future of QS services can be even more bright and useful in the future. Hopefully, okay. I think that's all for today's discussion. I would like to thank Prof. Fadhil for the knowledge and time in today's discussion. Without further ado, I would like to apologize if there is any mistakes in my conducting as a moderator as today. With that, this discussion is closed. I am Yusrina from Architecture Department. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Prof. Muhammad Fadhil and Ms. Darini Yusrina for such a significant session. Once again, let's give them a big round of applause. And for the Professor Muhammad Fadhil, please stay in the stage because the next session we will move the signing session. Signing session. Okay. Present, let's move on to the signing session of the implement of the agreement with the all study programs coordinators who have been invited and Prof. Muhammad Fadil. The list of signatures will be read by Ms. Yusvika for the time and place, please.
Okay, thank you, MC, for the time. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished and esteemed college, a very warm welcome to all of you. Today, we gather here for a momentous occasion, the signing ceremony of the implementation agreement and collaboration report in between University Pembangunan Nasional Veteran Jawa Timur and University Teknologi Mara, Malaysia. To commence our event, it is our honor to invite all undergraduate coordinator program study from architecture, interior design, economy development, civil engineering, management, law, and master of law from University Pembangunan Nasional Veteran Jawa Timur, and also Profesor Muhammad Fadhil Muhammad from University Teknologi Mara, Malaysia. The signing will be conducted in turns. As I call its representative, please come forward to the signing table to proceed with the agreement signing. For the first to begin, we invite coordinator of the Bachelor of Architecture program, Mr. Heru Prasyo Utomo, STMT. Please welcome. Now we kindly invite both signatories to pose for an official photo session. Okay, thank you. For Mr. Heru, kindly return to your seat. Okay, next we invite coordinator of the Bachelor of Interior Design program, Mr. Fijar Galax Putra Jagat Prayoko, STMRs, please. Okay, thank you. And the third is coordinator of the Bachelor of Visual Communication Design program, Mrs. Masnuna. Please welcome. Thank you. And the next is coordinator of the Bachelor of Economic Development program, Mrs. Kiki. Thank you. And the next, we invite coordinator of the Bachelor of Management program, Dr. Wiwi Handayani. Thank you. And next, coordinator of the Bachelor of Civil Engineering program, Dr. Insinyur Hendrata Wibisana. Thank you. And next, we invite coordinator of the Bachelor of Law program, Mrs. Aditya Widya Kartika. Thank you. And last, we invite coordinator of the Master of Law program, Dr. Teddy Prima Anggriawan. Please welcome. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, with this we have successfully held the signing of the implementation agreement and cooperation report. We are very grateful to all attendees for being part of this important event. With this, we officially end the signing event. Next, I will return to the MC. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Yusvika. Now we would like to take a moment to express our gratitude by presenting certification of appreciation to our dedicated keynote speech. We would like to invite Professor Muhammad Fadhil and Coordinator Architecture Programs, Mr. Heru Prasetyo, to present the awards to our keynote speech. Let's welcome. Let, Thank you once again to Professor Muhammad Fadil Muhammad for your valuable contribution. Please give a big round of applause for our keynote speech for today. Now let's move to photo session. I want for all participation to get closer and take a photo for documentation for the event for today. Maybe. Yeah. Please stand for our participation. Agak merapat ke depan. Agak merapat ke depan ya, teman-teman. Merapat ke depan nggak apa-apa. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of today's event. We would like to once again extend our gratitude to all speakers, moderators, and participants for making this event a success. I'm Siti Aisyah Akila. It has been a pleasure to serve as your MC. I apologize for any mistakes and thank you for your kind attention. We look forward to seeing you again at next visiting professor. Have a wonderful day. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.